In this deep dive, we're uncovering a different route to inner calm, something called Yoga Nidra.
Often called yogic sleep.
Exactly, yogic sleep, which might just be the accessible solution you've been searching for. Yeah, we're looking specifically at the teachings of the School of Breath, really focusing on Abhi Duggal's perspective on, well, drawing from his book Yoga Nidra for Modern Life.
And Avi's journey is fascinating, isn't it?
It really is 25 years immersed in everything from ancient Indian wisdom to, the pressures of the corporate world.
Right.
And now, as a holistic wellness teacher, it's this really powerful blend of ancient techniques and a real-world understanding of today's stresses.
It's interesting how that diverse background lets him bridge those ancient principles with the very modern challenges we all face. He gets it.
Exactly. So our mission today is simple: to really understand Yoga Nidra as a practical tool,
Hmm.
something for achieving deep rest and genuine healing amidst our hectic days. We want to tackle those common obstacles that often make traditional meditation feel, well, unattainable.
Yeah, those barriers are real.
Okay, let's get right into it then. Why do so many of us find traditional meditation just so tough?
Well, there are a few key reasons Avi highlights. One is just the sheer difficulty sometimes of sitting still for any length of time.
Right. Physically uncomfortable.
Yeah. Then you've got that relentless mental chatter. Trying to silence your thoughts can feel like a real uphill battle.
Definitely.
And of course, time. Time is such a precious commodity for most people, and finding extra minutes to just sit can seem impossible.
Plus, let's be honest, sometimes those traditional postures, they just aren't comfortable for everybody.
Exactly. Physical discomfort is a big one.
Right. And I think a major sticking point, is this idea that you have to completely empty your mind.
Yes. The blank slate myth.
It's like trying to hold back the tide with a teacup. It feels impossible.
Precisely. Abhi uses a great image of the wild horse of the mind.
Hmm.
He explains that trying to forcefully suppress your thoughts can actually backfire, leading to more agitation, not less.
Which makes perfect sense. You just end up in this wrestling match with your own thoughts.
You do.
So how does Yoga Nidra work around these common pitfalls? What's its core appeal? What makes it different?
Okay, so interestingly, Yoga Nidra, which literally means yogic sleep, is a guided meditation.
Guided. Okay.
Yeah, and it induces deep relaxation without you actually falling fully asleep. It's that wonderful in-between state, a realm of effortless awareness, sort of suspended between waking and sleeping.
Effortless awareness.
Yeah.
That sounds incredibly inviting right away. Much better than wrestling a wild horse.
Doesn't it? And the best part, I think, for many is that you get to lie down.
Yes. No pretzel-like poses required.
Exactly. You just find a comfortable position lying down, close your eyes, and listen to a guiding voice.
Okay.
So instead of actively trying to focus or clear your head, the guidance gently leads you through sensations in your body, your breath, maybe some evocative imagery.
Yeah.
And it naturally ushers you into this state of tranquility.
So it's much more about being guided than trying to actively control your own mind.
Precisely. And from a neuroscience perspective, this places you in what some researchers, like Dr. Huberman, call that limbo between sleep and wakefulness.
Okay.
And what's remarkable is the level of rest you can achieve. Some research suggests that just 1 hour of Yoga Nidra can be as restorative as, get this, 4 hours of conventional sleep.
Wow, 4 hours. That's an incredible potential time saver. So what's actually happening in our brains during this super restorative state?
Well, a key aspect here is the shift in brainwave frequencies. We typically start in data.
Our normal alert state.
Right, our busy, thinking, waking state.
Hmm.
As you begin to relax under the guidance, your brainwaves naturally slow down into the alpha range.
Okay. More relaxed, dreamlike.
Exactly, associated with that relaxed, maybe slightly floaty feeling. Then you can drift into theta,
Theta.
which is seen as the gateway to both sleep and deep meditation. And in some instances, you might even touch on delta, the very slow brainwaves of deep sleep.
So Yoga Nidra is like a gentle, guided journey down through these different levels of consciousness.
Exactly that. And it achieves this calming effect by engaging the body and the senses, instead of trying to think your way into relaxation.
Which often doesn't work.
Right. You physically relax, you focus on sensations, and the mind tends to follow suit. This is why it's so accessible, even for those people who've maybe tried meditation before and thought, nope, I can't do this.
Yeah.
There's no pressure to perform or achieve some specific mental state.
It sounds like a much more forgiving approach,
Yeah.
definitely. And this isn't some like fleeting wellness trend, right?
Yeah.
He mentions its deep historical roots.
That's right, it's not new. While the modern structure of Yoga Nidra was formalized more recently, its foundations lie in ancient yogic practices going back thousands of years.
Okay.
Traditionally used by sages, apparently, to access profound states of consciousness and healing sleep. And as Api points out, modern science is now beginning to really validate these age-old benefits.
Hmm.
Even Dr. Huberman's popular non-sleep deep rest, or NSDR, practices, they're essentially modern adaptations of these very deep relaxation techniques.
Right, NSDR, I've heard of that. So at its core, Yoga Nidra is about a profound sense of surrender, almost,
Hmm.
making the benefits of deep relaxation truly available to pretty much everyone.
I think that's a great way to put it, surrender and accessibility.
Okay, so we understand that Yoga Nidra is a more accessible form of meditation, but how exactly does it tackle the stress and the sleep problems that so many of us grapple with daily? Let's talk about taming those mental tigers, as you mentioned.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. Abi paints this vivid picture. Imagine encountering a real tiger in the jungle.
Okay, heart pounding.
Exactly. That immediate surge of stress, racing heart, tense muscles. It's an ancient survival mechanism, fight or flight.
Right. Totally necessary back then.
What's crucial to grasp, though, is that our modern brains can trigger that exact same powerful response to things like, demanding emails or looming deadlines.
It almost sounds unbelievable that our bodies react so strongly to abstract pressures, but I guess you can see how the nervous system wouldn't necessarily distinguish between a saber-toothed tiger and a scary inbox.
Precisely. The nervous system responds in a remarkably similar way to both genuine physical danger and modern, often psychological, stressors. The problem arises when those tigers in our modern lives become constant.
Right. Work pressures, financial worries, family stuff.
Exactly. It leads to a chronically activated fight or flight response we're stuck on. Yoga Nidra offers a direct counterpoint to this. It gently guides your nervous system away from that dominant fight or flight state and into the rest and digest mode.
The parasympathetic state.
That's the one, the parasympathetic state. And science is showing that Yoga Nidra directly boosts this rest and digest system.
So it's like sending a clear signal to your body. Okay, coast is clear. It's finally safe to power down and relax.
Pretty much.
What are the actual physiological changes that happen when we make this shift? What can you feel?
Well, during a Yoga Nidra session, you'll typically notice your breath naturally deepening and slowing down. Your muscles start to soften, release tension you didn't even know you were holding. And a key nerve called the vagus nerve gets activated, which is central to that whole parasympathetic response.
Hey, vagus nerve, right.
Yeah. And this leads to tangible changes like a slowing of your heart rate, a lowering of your blood pressure, and crucially, a reduction in those stress hormones like cortisol.
It's really remarkable that such a seemingly passive practice,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're just lying there, can have such a profound influence on our physical well-being.
It is.
And Avi makes a really insightful point about having this readily available, cost-free tool to prevent that awful added layer of anxiety,
Yeah.
Worrying about being worried.
Oh, that cycle. Yeah, that's a significant benefit. It's like having an internal stress management system that you can access anytime, anywhere, really.
I like his analogy, too, of stress being like a wildfire raging through your system
Yeah.
and Yoga Nidra acting like a soothing rain. It captures that sense of addressing the underlying heat, not just fanning the flames.
That's a great image. It gets to the root.
He mentions a study, I think, where just 30 minutes of Yoga Nidra led to a significant decrease in negative emotions for women who are struggling with insomnia.
Yes, that's right. A 31% decrease, I believe. And another study demonstrated that regular practice led to a measurable reduction in nighttime cortisol levels
Okay.
and definite improvements in the depth of sleep. So these aren't just subjective feelings, there are tangible hormonal shifts happening.
It's like nurturing the roots of a plant, as Avi says. Instead of just trying to deal with the surface symptoms of stress, the anxiety, the sleeplessness, Yoga Nidra goes deeper to actually soothe the nervous system at its core.
Well put, it calms the whole system down.
Okay, so we're in this deeply relaxed state, maybe drifting in alpha or theta waves. Now, Abhi introduces this concept of sankalpa. What exactly is that, and how does it fit into the practice?
Right, sankalpa. This is a really key aspect. A sankalpa is essentially a short, positive intention that you gently plan within yourself during the Yoga Nidra practice. Think of it less like a traditional striving goal and more like sowing a seed in the fertile ground of your mind during this relaxed state. The core insight here is that it bypasses the critical conscious mind
Oh.
and speaks more directly to your subconscious.
So it's a kind of personal affirmation, but deeper. Can you give us some examples of what one might sound like?
Absolutely. It needs to be simple, positive, and in the present tense. It could be something like, I am healing, or I am calm and balanced, or perhaps I allow myself to be happy and at peace.
Simple but powerful.
The most important thing is that it resonates deeply with your current needs or aspirations. It's very personal.
Abhi mentions the yogic perspective of it being like a sacred vow you make to yourself. That adds a certain significance, doesn't it?
It does.
Why is this intention setting specifically done during Yoga Nidra? What's the magic there?
Well, it goes right back to those brainwave states we were discussing. During the alpha and particularly the theta states that become prominent in Yoga Nidra, your mind becomes incredibly receptive,
More open.
much more open. The usual mental chatter, the defenses, the resistance we often experience in our busy beta state, they tend to quiet down significantly. It's like entering this sort of twilight zone where the subconscious mind is more accessible, more suggestible in a positive way.
So it's like finding a more direct pathway to our deeper self, bypassing the usual guard at the gate.
Precisely. As Abhi explains it, during Yoga Nidra, we're consciously navigating through these brainwave levels that are highly receptive to change. By planting a resolve, the sankalpa, in this subconscious landscape, we can begin to gently reshape unhelpful thought patterns, old beliefs, ingrained behaviors. It allows positive transformation to actually take root. It's a subtle but potentially very powerful form of self-reprogramming.
Like consistently watering that seed of intention with each practice, letting it grow stronger in that receptive state. Abhi provides a compelling example, I remember, of someone overcoming insomnia with the sankalpa. I sleep deeply and wake refreshed.
Exactly. By repeating that positive present tense intention in that highly receptive state, you're essentially communicating directly with your subconscious. You're addressing those deeply ingrained patterns or anxieties that might be contributing to the sleep difficulties, working at a level far beyond conscious effort or willpower alone.
That's really powerful. It makes you think, doesn't it? It encourages you to take a moment to reflect on what you truly need right now and to set that positive inner direction for yourself.
It does. It's a moment of clarity.
Okay, so we've explored the experience of Yoga Nidra, the relaxation, the brainwaves, the sankalpa, but what does the actual scientific evidence tell us about its benefits? Let's dig into the research.
Right, the science. There's a growing body of research validating the remarkable benefits of Yoga Nidra across several areas.
Yeah.
Let's start with deep relaxation and stress reduction, which we've touched on. As we discussed, it effectively triggers the body's relaxation response.
The parasympathetic.
Exactly, and dials down the stress response. And studies have indeed shown significant drops in cortisol levels, that main stress hormone.
Measurable drops.
Yes. And that randomized controlled trial we mentioned earlier, the one focusing on individuals with chronic insomnia, it also found a notable reduction in both cortisol and reported anxiety, alongside those significant improvements in deep sleep duration.
So it's not just a feeling of being relaxed.
Yes.
There are clear, measurable physiological markers showing stress reduction. What about its impact specifically on sleep itself? That's a big one for so many.
It really is, and this is a key area where Yoga Nidra truly shines. Research published in the National Medical Journal of India indicated that Yoga Nidra led to significant improvements in overall sleep quality and, importantly, an increase in deep, restorative sleep.
Better quality sleep, not just quantity.
Precisely. And interestingly, in some measures used in that study, it even appeared to outperform standard insomnia therapies that were compared. It really functions almost like a sleep hack, gently retraining the brain to access deep relaxation when needed.
That's incredibly encouraging for anyone caught in that frustrating cycle of tossing and turning, dreading bedtime. Beyond stress and sleep, what other positive effects have been observed?
Nervous system regulation is another significant benefit. By consistently engaging in this practice of conscious relaxation, you're essentially helping to rebalance your autonomic nervous system.
The system controlling all the automatic stuff.
Right. the system that controls so many of your involuntary bodily functions, heart rate, digestion, breathing. This rebalancing can have positive ripple effects throughout your body. We're talking potential contributions to lower blood pressure over time, improved digestion, maybe even better regulation of blood sugar levels.
Hmm.
Think of it like strengthening your parasympathetic muscle. The more you exercise it with practices like yoga nidra, the more resilient you become to the daily ups and downs of stress.
Building resilience. I like that.
And neuroscientific findings also point to an increase in heart rate variability, or HRV.
HRV, right?
Yeah.
Heard that mentioned with fitness trackers.
Yeah, and simply put, HRV is like your body's resilience dial. A higher variability generally means your nervous system is more adaptable, better able to handle stress and bounce back. Yoga Nidra seems to improve that adaptability.
So it's not just about feeling calmer in the moment, important as that is, but about building a more robust, resilient foundation for long-term well-being. That's huge.
It really is.
What about cognitive functions? Our ability to focus, our memory.
Yeah.
Does lying down and relaxing actually help our brains work better?
It might seem counterintuitive, doesn't it, that doing nothing in Yoga Nidra could actually sharpen your mind.
Yeah.
But deep rest plays a absolutely crucial role in things like memory consolidation
Okay.
and the rewiring of neural pathways. One study found that a short daily practice, I think it was around 13 minutes, improved attention span, working memory, and recognition memory, while also reducing anxiety levels after just 8 weeks.
8 weeks, that's quite fast.
It is, and perhaps even more surprisingly, other research has shown that about an hour of Yoga Nidra can increase dopamine levels by as much as 65%.
Whoa, dopamine. The motivation molecule?
Exactly. Dopamine is a key neurotransmitter involved in motivation, learning, mood regulation, pleasure. A significant boost like that could have wide-ranging positive effects.
That's fascinating.
Plus, remember those theta brainwave states we talked about?
Yeah, the gateway state.
They're often associated with creativity, insight, and problem solving. So accessing that state regularly could potentially lead to more aha moments.
So it's like clearing the mental clutter, the fog, to create space for better focus and maybe even more creative thinking. It's definitely not just zoning out. It's a productive form of rest for the brain.
Exactly. Productive rest. And let's not overlook the emotional and even, for some, the spiritual dimensions that many practitioners experience.
Okay.
People often report a greater sense of emotional balance, feeling less reactive, more resilient to emotional triggers.
More inner stability.
Yes, and Yoga Nidra has also been used therapeutically, sometimes alongside other treatments, to support individuals dealing with anxiety, depression, and even trauma. It seems to help gently release long-held emotional tension by accessing those deeper layers of the subconscious we talked about.
Gently is the key word there.
It is. It's often described as a process of inner integration, bringing different parts of yourself into greater harmony. And for those who are drawn to it, Yoga Nidra can also serve as a powerful spiritual practice, fostering a deeper connection with your inner self, your core being.
But you don't have to approach it spiritually to benefit.
Not at all. That spiritual framing isn't a prerequisite for experiencing all the other benefits. The relaxation, the better sleep, the stress reduction. It meets you where you are.
So it truly meets you wherever you are on your journey, whether you're just seeking better sleep and less stress, or perhaps exploring a deeper sense of inner peace and connection.
That sums it up perfectly.
It sounds like a really holistic practice with a solid and growing body of scientific support behind it. Now, for the part that I know many of you listening are probably eager for, how can we actually try this out for ourselves? How do we get started?
Absolutely. Because the best way to really understand Yoga Nidra is, of course, to experience it.
Right. Abhi recommends finding a comfortable position, ideally lying down if you can, maybe with some soft, gentle instrumental music playing softly in the background, but that's optional. You begin by perhaps setting a simple intention for yourself, maybe revisiting that sankalpa idea briefly.
Then take a few slow, deep breaths just to settle into your body. Next comes a quick body scan. You systematically bring your awareness to different parts of your body, maybe starting from your toes and moving all the way up to the top of your head, consciously telling each part to relax, to soften, to let go.
Just mentally scanning and relaxing.
Exactly. The final step is simply resting in that state of effortless awareness for maybe a minute or two. Just observing your breath, noticing any thoughts that drift by without judging them or getting caught up in them. And then gently bringing your awareness back to your surroundings, maybe wiggling fingers and toes before opening your eyes.
Even just 5 minutes of that sounds like it could make a really noticeable difference in how you feel, like a little snapshot of that deeper relaxation state.
Exactly. And Abhi emphasizes that even after that short 5-minute practice, you're likely to feel a greater sense of calm, centeredness, and refreshment. It's a little reset. And of course, he encourages listeners, if they like that taster, to try a full-length guided session, maybe 20 or 30 minutes, to experience the multiply benefits. And he mentions that there are many free guided Yoga Nidra audio recordings available online these days.
That's great to know that resources are out there. Fantastic. So to sort of bring it all together, it really sounds like Yoga Nidra offers a truly powerful, but also importantly, accessible pathway.
Yeah, accessibility is key.
A pathway to achieving that deep rest we crave, effectively managing stress, and unlocking a whole range of other benefits in our demanding modern world.
Absolutely. I think it's a potent reminder that choosing to pause and rest isn't some kind of luxury or something to feel guilty about,
Right.
but rather a fundamental, maybe even a revolutionary act of self-care and self-respect in today's culture.
A revolutionary act of self-love, choosing rest.
Mm,
I like that. And it's about tapping into our own remarkable innate capacity to heal and regenerate, isn't it?
it really is. The body knows how to rest if we let it.
Well, if you're feeling inspired listening to this and want to explore Yoga Nidra further, Abhi Duggal generously offers a free, full-length guided meditation.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's available for download at meditatewithhabhi.com. That's meditatewithabhi.com. You can also find additional free resources there and information about his upcoming Yoga Nidra course, which is part of the School of Breath, for those who might wish to delve even deeper and get more personalized guidance.
Excellent. So, plenty of options to explore further.
Definitely. Our aim with this deep dive has really been to offer you some valuable insights and hopefully guide you towards feeling perhaps a little more calm, a bit less stressed, and maybe even looking forward to a more restful night's sleep tonight.
This practice truly offers such a tangible path towards less stress, greater overall well-being, and perhaps a more awakened and balanced life. It's worth trying.
It really sounds like it. Well, until our next deep dive,
Be well.
be well and breathe easy.